Hey everybody, welcome back to the EduPassions Conference. We are now 3 hours in, so it is a distinct honor and pleasure to introduce Nikki D. Robertson. So welcome, Nikki. So glad to have you here with us.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here, and I've had so much fun already this morning listening to all the other educators talking about their EduPassions.
Absolutely. And we are so excited to hear about yours. Like we were just talking a little earlier, and I'm just so fired up about your session because I know that it's going to be amazing. So definitely welcome. And I'm going to tell everyone who's watching a little bit about you. So Nikki is a veteran educator, librarian, and instructional technology facilitator for James Clemens High School. She's passionate about one-to-one digital natives, collaboration with other educational professionals, and assisting students in becoming well-informed, critically thinking digital citizens. Nikki is a co-founder of EdCamp Atlanta, a free unconference committed to reaching educators in public, private, charter, and higher ed environments to share innovative instructional strategies and pioneering technologies that transform education for all students. She co-moderates the hashtag #TLChatLive Twitter sessions the second Monday of each month, which provide a forum for school librarians to discuss current teacher library topics. Nikki also produces and co-anchors TL News Night, a live internet show presented in news show format featuring a wrap-up of this month in school libraries and deeper discussion of topical school library issues with special guest experts. Nikki is the recipient of several honors, including a BAMI Award nomination, ASLA Anne Marie Pipkin Technology Award, and the AASL Bound to Stay Bound grant. Nikki has been a member of the Advanced Ed SACS Accreditation External Review Team in Georgia. So for more information about Nikki, you can visit her About Me page at about.me/Nikki D. Robertson. You can tweet her at Nikki D. Robertson, and you can go to her site, eNikkiDRobertson.com. So definitely check her out. She is dynamic. She is awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to her right now.
Awesome. Well, I have over 50 slides and 15 minutes, so we're going to do a really fast move along here. I do want to let you know that this is about makerspaces, letting genius shine. This session is a passion pitch. It's EduPassion, so it's not going to be a how to do a makerspace, but why you should do a makerspace. So in 2015 at ISTE, this was one of the slides about makerspaces, a simple tip for creating a makerspace. And basically it said, get some space, put some stuff in it, invite kids to play. But it's so much more than that. I had the great opportunity this summer to present at the Model Schools Conference, which, if you're not familiar with the Model Schools Conference, is an amazing conference where over 5,000 school superintendents and other administrators from all across the country came to learn about great, innovative, bold learning movements and ideas that are happening across our country and schools everywhere, and motivating those superintendents and administrators to move forward with innovative thinking and with bold educational practices. And I presented about makerspaces there. One thing that I made sure to mention and to really emphasize is that you cannot have bold, innovative practices like instituting a makerspace into your school without a supportive environment. Last year was the first year I've been able to have a makerspace, even though I've known about makerspaces for quite some time. Started following Laura Fleming when she did her makerspace. And I was not able to actually get a makerspace started until I was in a supportive environment. Luckily, I have an amazing principal, Dr. Clayton, who provided for the makerspace monetarily and a place to do it and the motivation to do it, and saying, this is why I want you here. I want a makerspace in our library. But then even more than that is you have to have the proper support staff. And I have one of the best library aides in the whole entire world, Miss Kimberly Johnson, and if it weren't for her, I wouldn't be able to do a makerspace in my library, because you do have to have that support staff. So these administrators who are cutting the budgets to libraries, they are really cutting the best things out of their school. It's the heart of your school. It's the thing that's going to drive students and give them that area for that passion. So please rethink, if you're cutting library funding at all in your districts, to rethink that, because you want to have these awesome things. And then a makerspace too isn't just about that support, but you have to first have that supportive environment. But then you have to build those relationships, because if you just stick some stuff in your library and say, okay, we've got a makerspace now, kids, it doesn't matter at all. You have to build those relationships with your kids. They have to trust you. They have to know you. They have to know that this is a place where they can be expressive and they can be silly and they can explore and do in that makerspace. So for those of you who might not have ever heard of makerspaces before, this is a basic definition of what a makerspace is. It's basically a place, what I love to say is, where students can create, invent, tinker, explore, and discover using all sorts of different materials. And you can have high-tech, low-tech, or no-tech makerspaces, or a whole variety of those. But makerspaces are so much more than just stuff, just robots or anything else that you might put in there. It's so much more. While I was at the MakerSpace Model Schools Conference this summer, I had the great opportunity of hearing Juliet Funt. Her father was Alan Funt of Candid Camera Days. That's aging me, but those of you as old as me might remember that. She just talked about white space, and when she was talking about white space, it made me think, oh my gosh, that's exactly what my makerspace is for my high school kids. It's those mini breaks that you get in the middle of the day that we don't often have, to pause in between those activities and to just do something for ourselves and to breathe for a minute. And I said, you know what? That's what the makerspace is. It is kind of a white space for our kids. It's also an area that can be considered a genius hour time or 20% time. If you haven't heard about that, that's where you're giving kids time to investigate their own interests, pursue their own interests, the things that they are interested in that aren't driven by curriculum or anything else, but their own personal passion. And how often in schools do we let our kids pursue their own personal passion? My friend Stoney Evans, he let his kids this summer pursue their personal passion with Minecraft. And the two kids that pursued this with Minecraft, and they actually went into Minecraft and built a replica of his library, his junior high school library. These two kids that worked on this all summer long were considered and are considered at-risk students. Yet, when they were allowed to pursue their own passion, which is working inside of Minecraft, they were able to do so much. And then not only did Stoney allow them to do that, but he let them present to teachers at the beginning of the school year the project that they had been working on all summer long. These kids finally had a voice. They found where they were able to rise and shine as stars, because you know what? When you ask a fish to climb a tree, it's never going to look like a genius, right? You've seen that poster before, that quote. These kids are considered at risk, but when they're in the environment they're passionate about, they're not at risk at all. They're geniuses. And we have to allow our kids to shine in the space and the place they can shine in. And that's what makerspaces do. Makerspaces should also be a safe place. That's a place where everybody feels like they belong. And that's what I love about my makerspace, is because I have lots of different kids from all the different cliques. You know, high schools, they make TV shows about them and they show all the different cliques, freaks and geeks and the athletes and the jocks and all, you know, all these other people. But everybody in the makerspaces work together and feel good. And it's not just one particular clique or group of kids, but it's everybody across the spectrum that I see there. And it's a place that kids feel safe coming, even though they're not in their quote social group. It's also, makerspaces are also a place for kids to breathe. Again, getting back to that white space that Juliet Funt talked about. We put out those adult coloring pages, even have teachers come back there and color, and it just helps them to relax. You can see here they are. It's that time to play games, getting back to just analog game, board games, card games, having a chance to talk and socialize, and sometimes just chillaxing, right? Just falling out on the floor, laying down, and having that chance to breathe. I also like that makerspaces are a place where students can express their voice. We have this giant wall from ceiling to floor, wall to wall of windows at the back of our library inside of our makerspace area. I put paint pens out and kids get to write on that wall. It's our library graffiti window and get to express their own voice. And I love that kids come in here and you can see it's all filled up. I erase it at the end of every 9 weeks. But it only takes a day or two before it's just completely filled up with pictures and quotes and Instagram accounts and everything else that kids want to express. It's also a great place for collaboration. We put together, or I should say my kids put together, a roller coaster with Connects, but it was several kids working on it together over time. They were able to put together that roller coaster and work on that together. So it wasn't just a one kid project, but it was anybody who wanted to come back into the makerspace and work to put together that roller coaster were able to get that done. It's also a place that encourages critical thinking without a grade attached, and that's where the safety comes back in. Let's get back into that safe place. It's a safe place because grades aren't attached to it, expectations aren't attached to it. You're allowed to fail. You're allowed to think critically and fail and try again. And where do kids get that opportunity? They're so worried about their grades. I'm not going to play this video, but it's a little video of a kid, and you can notice that he's down here. He's programming the BB-8 robot. He's trying to figure out the turns and the curves. And I'm going to do a little up close. You can see he's writing down the degrees that the robot would need to turn, how many seconds, and what percentage. I mean, look at the thinking that's going into this just with this awesome BB-8 robot. Lots of critical thinking, mathematics, etc. going in there. It also helps kids with problem solving. So here is a makey. We've got bananas and potatoes and different things attached to this celery. And the kids are working together and problem solving on building games inside of Scratch and how to do that and use makey to operate the game. So lots of problem solving going on here. Again, coding with our robot Dash and Dot, and you can see this is something that kids are just doing in their own time because they want to, for the fun of it, not because it's connected to curriculum or grades or any expectations from a teacher. There's nothing heavy looming over them to force them to do this. Again, this is their white space time, their genius hour time, their 20% time, their time to breathe. Also, makerspaces are about creativity. We have arts and crafts, and you can see here some arts and crafts materials that are being combined with little bits. So not only did this student right here created a hand that will wave at you when it picks up on a sound. So when you say hello or something, the hand will wave. So this is her building that little robot there using little bits and our arts and crafts materials. But then you can also just do regular old arts and crafts, which we have a lot of kids who love doing the different arts and crafts as well. So advice for you on getting your makerspace started. First off, remember that nothing about the makerspace is about you. This is an adventure into the unknown, and you have to be willing to just jump off that cliff and hope that you land somewhere safe. With that in mind, don't ever attempt doing a makerspace without your PLN. I cannot tell you I would not be able to do a makerspace if it weren't for my PLN. Here are some of the people that I depend on daily to support me, to give me ideas, and to help me with this, and to cry to when things don't go right, and to laugh with when amazing things happen, and to celebrate with when kids have done amazing things in the library. There's no right or wrong way to format your makerspace. Just get it started. I have a free range makerspace because we have something called refuel hour. We have 4 blocks every day. After second block, all school stops for an entire hour, and all 1,800 plus of our kids go to lunch, go to clubs, can come to the makerspace, go to the library to work on work. do whatever they want for that entire hour. There are no classes. It's an amazing thing. And so kids choose to come to the makerspace at that time. I also have the makerspace open before school and all day long. So if they finish their work and they want to come with a pass to come do something in the makerspace, they can always come. But then my friend Wendy Cope, she has her makerspace after school, and she does an Iron Chef style. So there's lots of different styles of makerspaces out there. So investigate and do what works best for you, your school, and your students. Also know that a good makerspace ebbs and flow with it, not against it. You might have one idea of what your makerspace is going to look like, and then when you start seeing the kids interacting, you realize, what I thought I wanted the makerspace to look like isn't what the kids are using it for. Move it with the kids, not with what you wanted, because again, it's not about you. So be willing to listen to student voice, adjust your makerspace according to that voice. And then don't exclude things from your makerspace just because you don't understand it, like green screens. I don't know about green screens, but I have it in my makerspace. I don't know anything about 3D printers. I've been learning, but I didn't not get it because I didn't understand it. What I did is I found kids who understood it. And you can see here's some different class projects that we do, but kids also have fun with it as well. And that's the most important thing. Have fun and don't be afraid to be silly. Kids don't want to come where they're feeling like they're not wanted. They want to be in an environment that feels loving and happy and fun and free from judgment. They want to be in a safe place. So you have to make it that safe place. Puppies and burritos, and that was a skull. So yay, I went a little bit over my 15 minutes. You can contact me on Twitter, on my blog, or look at my e-portfolio, and I'm going to escape out of this and come back over to the Hangout because I know that was a lot of information super fast. So if we have any questions,
well, first of all, I want to say thank you so much, Nikki.
You're my favorite person.
Amazing. And you actually have been the one who has pretty much gone in good time. So thank you. Kudos to you. And you were the one I was kind of worried about, but you're a pro. So
I told you I could fit those 50 slides in.
So I do want to tell you some comments from the crowd. You just have a big following here. I know Nicole Taylor was saying she's so excited because she's starting a makerspace at her school. So she's saying this presentation is pretty awesome. And Peggy George has said she is your official fangirl and stalker. So
I love Peggy George.
You have people from the Philippines saying hello as well. Let's see if there's any questions here. Let's see. So someone does, Marl C mentions about talking to different people in the makerspaces, companies and stuff like that. What's the value in that? Or how do you find companies and things like that to help your school start the makerspaces?
Well, what I do, and actually I kind of just jumped into it head first. I was hired last year at James Clemens and was told, let's get a makerspace. And I was like, yay, yes, I've always wanted to do a makerspace. And then I was like, okay, school starts in, like 2 or 3 days. And I was like, what? I've got to have this up and going. And I was able to actually start my makerspace within the first 19 days of school. I had some stuff up and going. I would advise though, seeing what your students want. If you have the time, what would have been the best thing to do is to have gotten some students together, talk to them, made sure they understood what a makerspace was, and let them have a voice in what you get. But I would also look at what other people have done in their makerspaces for your particular age group and get a couple of things in to start with, and then start looking and listening to student voice that way. So telling you what item to get isn't really a thing to do because every single school is different and every student population is different. And for instance, this school year I have different students. Seniors graduated, new freshmen have come up. And so my makerspace and what I have in it is always in transition as well. So investigate, see what others are doing. There's a great makerspace group on Facebook. Also go back and look at some of those people that I mentioned and look at those as well. Let's see.
So we have Noel from the Philippines, and he goes along with that question. He says, so does that mean that makerspaces should be very informal in terms of setup, and would you recommend having it structured or not?
Well, and again, that I know this doesn't sound like a great answer, but it depends on you and your school. Mine is very informal because of the nature of when I have a makerspace. My makerspace is mainly run during refuel hour, and that's where kids can come and go as they please for that entire hour. They eat lunch, they go to clubs, they go to tutoring. Teachers have office hours. They can put a hammock up outside and sleep, whatever they want to do during that hour. But I also know other schools who have their makerspaces as after-school clubs, which is a little more organized. Like my friend Wendy Cope does Iron Chef style. She has a club. She puts out certain materials. She says, okay, the theme is Star Wars. You have 20 minutes to make something Star Wars themed with the stuff I've given you. And then at the end of that 20 minutes, then the kids have to explain what it is they made and how it's related to the theme. And I know other people with makerspaces that have different ways of approaching it. So again, it all depends on your school scheduling, the kids that you have in your makerspace, and how you're going to approach it with your kids. Mine is very informal. I like to call it a free range makerspace because it is extremely informal. I just have everything out and the kids do whatever they're going to do. I started this year having a focus for each day where we're going to focus on computer science today. But if you don't feel like doing computer science that day, you can do any of the other stuff.
Final question before we wrap up is kind of along the spaces that you said. Jai talks about, a cigar talks about having where people work late nights, and teachers definitely stay after school and stuff like that. And it do you have time limits or anything like that on the makerspace? Like, when does it end and close? Is it available for after school for students as well? Can it work that way?
It can, any way that you want it to work. At my school, it's out all the time. So as soon as I get there in the morning, if students want to come to the makerspace, they're perfectly welcome. They can come throughout the day with a pass. Refuel is our biggest time for it. We don't have after school. I lock up when the bell rings and go on home. But it all depends on your school and how your school works with that as well. I love the fact that we have refuel hour, because that way kids can participate in absolutely everything, and it's not dependent on whether they have a ride after school or not, to be able to participate in those extra things. That's why we hold clubs during refuel hour. That's why the makerspace is mainly during refuel hour. I love that concept, and that'd be another passion pitch right there, is our refuel hour.
Well, then that just means we'll have to invite you back. So I'm going to come give you a big, huge hug before you go. You were amazing. Everybody is talking about it inside the chat box, but thank you so, so much for doing this, Nikki.
Oh, thank you for doing this whole conference. I've been watching it this morning and just loving every minute of it, and I'll be with you throughout the day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, y'all. Thank you. Good luck.